Hello, my name is Simphiwe Mtshali. I'm a plant production student at Ekurhuleni Agricultural College, and today I'll be explaining the basics of plant production through our use of plant beds, our use of spinach on our plant beds in the past few weeks. So the process that we took and that we take with any crop is we must first focus on how we're going to prepare our soil for the plant we want to plant, because while the plant is in germination, the stage of growing as a seedling, we need to use that time efficiently to then first of all use tillage, primary tillage if necessary. But for the most part, since this soil was already prepared for us, we only had to turn the soil with minor tools. Turning the soil is important because it gets rid of the problem of pests to an extent, because when pests are on the surface of the soil, then they're exposed to their natural predators, and they're also exposed to the sun, environmental factors that they're not used to, that can reduce the population of those pests on your plant bed. Now, before you can plant, you need to first apply pre-fertilizer and apply what we call NPK, a fertilizer that stands for what those letters stand for on the periodic table. So we have potassium, we have nitrogen, and we have phosphorus. These three are the primary nutrients used in commercial agriculture. When we plant the spinach, we must then applied land fertilizer. Fertilizer is used when you want to increase the efficiency at which your plants grow. You also have the option to grow them organically and still increase the speed with organic fertilizer, which we have used on other plant beds. When we want to make sure that the growth of our plants is as healthy as possible, especially when we have a market we want to give these products to, like a supermarket or a chain, we must make sure that the presentation of the plants is up to standard. So when you have a leaf that stretches this far out, we have a plant spacing of 15 centimeters between each plant on each row, and we must have these long leaves taken out, even the ones that fall onto the ground here. This cannot be eaten by a person in the future. We want, for spinach specifically, for everything to grow in a uniform upwards shape. It's similar with the cabbage that we have here, and it's similar for all plants in the fact that you must maintain them as well as their appearance, not just the nutrients that you've put into the soil. Presentation is pretty much just as important. Now, when we do irrigation, we try to irrigate every day, and we rotate where we irrigate so that every place gets the same amount of water over the same period of time. Because once everything has that consistent formula, then you'll have plants that are the same throughout your whole bedding system. Apart from irrigation, the other part that you must focus on when you're doing plant production of any sort is what does your plant in particular need. So you can have the basics of understanding that you need to use tillage for your soil, but you must also understand that your soil is going to be used for spinach this time around. We rotate our crops again for pest control, because pests are not used to having crops shift in their same environment. They die in the process. So we rotate our crops, but we also, in that same sense, make sure that when we put crops in a different space of land, we adapt that land for that specific crop. So for example, with cabbage has an issue where most of the pests attack from the top of the plant. So we need to actually apply some sort of sprayer on the top of the plant, whereas other plants can have pesticides that are applied at the roots. So here, on the soil. So here we've actually got sprayers that we've used to keep the cabbages cleaner than they would have normally been if we had allowed the pests to have free reign. This side with spinach, we don't really have to worry about spraying, so the usage of pesticides was much less of an issue. So we adapt based on our plant, just like an animal production student would adapt based on their animal. And those are the basics of plant production.